All right. Well, hey, I'm pleased to be joined by Karla Carlson, newly promoted to Executive Vice President of United Properties, Amira Senior Living Brand. And Karla previously served as Vice President of Capital Markets, and she will lead United Properties Senior Living Team. Karla, thanks for joining me on the podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Brian.
Absolutely. Well, I wonder if you could just start off by introducing yourself a little bit. I gave a very brief introduction there, but and first of all, congratulations on the promotion.
Thank
Um,
you.
so can you talk a little bit about that and what your new job duties will be in this role?
Sure, sure. So this is kind of a new role that was created at United Properties. Historically, I don't know how much everybody knows about United Properties, but we've operated under this co-president model where kind of the development team reported up to one president and the portfolio team reported up to the other. And that worked for a lot of reasons. But what's unique about the seniors business is that the development team and the asset management side, the operating side, really are far more integrated starting at kind of the beginning, like site selection, and they work together through the design and through lease up and stabilization of the product. So they work together really from the start, which is different than other product types. So when we recently moved organizationally to a CEO structure and eliminated the co-president model, it provided this opportunity to kind of put the senior development team and the asset management team under one leader. I'm thrilled to have been selected to lead the senior team kind of now as one organizational unit that we can kind of cohesively drive growth all the growth that we're expecting to achieve here in the space over the next, 5 to 10 years.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about some of your existing communities and any communities that you might have planned or under construction.
Well, so we've got a lot going on right now. So let me just zoom out a little bit. So,
Mhm.
um, in 2021, we kind of rebranded and launched this Amira brand, and we had previously operated. We kind of have three product types. We have this co-op that operates under this Applewood Point. We did not really rebrand Applewood Point. That's kind of part that falls under the Amira brand. That's our co-op. That's a senior kind of owned facility that's basically, financed through HUD. They can buy their condo unit. So that's one thing. And we started developing those way back in like 2002. So we've been in the business for 20 years. But in 2021, we wanted to kind of make a more cohesive brand as we moved out of and into other markets. Like, we've primarily been in Minnesota and the Minneapolis metro, but we're looking to expand we have offices in Denver and we have offices in Austin. And so as we kind of looked at the brand from a national lens, we thought we wanted to be able to trademark the brand. And we wanted to make sure that we could carry that brand awareness with us nationally. So with that rebrand in 2021, we've got this Applewood Point, which still remains Applewood Point. And then we have what's called our Amira Choice product, and that is our senior with services. And then in addition to senior with services, Amira Choice, we have Amira, and the Amira is our 55 plus active adult product type. So now we can kind of deliver three different communities under this Amira brand umbrella. So the communities that we have now that are open and operating and thriving, we've got 6 Amira Choice communities in the Minneapolis metro, Roseville, Forest Lake, Plymouth, Minnetonka, Bloomington. And then we've got 3 Amiras in Bloomington, Minnetonka, and Roseville. So we've got a little bit of both product types there. We have 2 Amira Choices in Florida, one in Naples and one in Sarasota. And then we have 1 senior with services community in Littleton, Colorado. So that's kind of like our stable operating portfolio of assets. And then we also have a couple communities under construction in Minneapolis. We've got an Amira in Minnetonka, so that's a 55 plus. We've got an Amira Choice in Colorado, in Arvada, that's under construction. And then we also have an Applewood Point in Apple Valley that we're under construction with. So we're very active, and we're actively seeking more sites in all of our markets.
Okay, so the projects you have under construction here locally, can you just talk a little bit more about those timelines and number of units and when do you expect them to open?
Yep. So our Amira Minnetonka is scheduled to be opening in June, so just a couple months away. And we're really excited about this. It's not far from our Amira Choice Minnetonka that's been very successful. We are over 65% pre-leased at Amira Minnetonka, which is really, really incredible. It really speaks to the demand that's out there for this product type. And so we're really excited to start moving residents in there on June 1st. The Amira Choice in Arvada, that one is scheduled to deliver early next year. So we topped out the roof about a month ago, and we're just continuing on in construction, and we're on track and on schedule there. So those two are delivering next. And then the Applewood Point in Apple Valley, that's just underway. I honestly, I'm not paying as close of attention to that because that's kind of in the rear view. It's all sold out and it's being constructed, and it will deliver as needed.
Excellent. So can you talk a little bit more about the differences between the Applewood Points and the Amira? We've written about a lot of Applewood Point projects through the years, and you mentioned you've been doing that for quite a while now. Can you talk about that and compare it to what you're doing with the Amira brand?
Yeah. So the Applewood Points have been extremely successful for us over the years. I mean, it's really, it's a product where we design, it's a co-op, it's a condo, it's a way for older adults to have ownership in a property that they want to maybe downsize. And it was extremely successful up until, it's gotten really challenging with construction costs rising. We kind of have to lock into a construction cost well in advance of actually starting construction, because we have to be able to sell the units at a certain price point, and we have to be able to, follow through on our commitments based on those prices. So while that was successful when time was good and we had tailwinds behind us, it's been much more challenging now, especially with the pandemic and the supply chain issues and just the really uncertainty around construction costs. So we've seen that business slow, and we're hopeful that we can pick it back up. But we were being really selective with what properties we seek and whether or not we can, take the risk on the construction cost side of things there. So that's why where we're really focused right now is building out our Amira, our 55 plus active adult brand. That's, it's an independent living rental community. We anywhere from 115 to 145 units. The units are a little bit bigger than what you would typically see in a market rate multifamily property. And they have just really been popular. I think a lot of residents in that age category that are, retiring or becoming empty nesters, they're looking for a sense of community and they're looking to downsize their homes, but maybe they don't want to commit to buying another home because they don't know where they're going to be. Maybe they want to follow their kids once they have grandkids. And so they like the flexibility of renting. And where we, I think, do a phenomenal job is with our programming in those Amira communities. We have a director there that completely runs an activities calendar, and it's extremely popular and the residents really enjoy it, and they have a lot of fun, and it basically becomes their new little neighborhood, and they take a lot of pride in those communities. So we're looking to really expand our pipeline on the Amira, the 55 plus active adult product type. And then of course, Amira Choice, that's the senior with services. That's kind of, 62 plus. We've got independent living, a continuum of care, independent living, assisted living, memory care. Some have enhanced care. There's always going to be a big demand for that just as the population ages out. those have become a little more challenging to underwrite, just given the challenges with the labor market and pressure on labor costs and just even finding labor. And so those have been a little bit harder to get to underwrite, especially, and then those had, of course, everyone that owns, operates, invests in senior over the pandemic has just had an even more challenging time as that just really stressed the communities, emotionally and economically. So our communities have fully bounced back. I mean, we've done a phenomenal job. We're in a really great shape, and we're just waiting for the next opportunity when the labor market settles down a little bit and we can get those deals to underwrite, because we know that the demand is out there for that asset class as well.
Yeah, it sounds like the demand is certainly out there. And what is your outlook looking ahead over the next year or two? You mentioned some of the headwinds with construction costs and labor and things of that nature. Affordability is always a challenge. But do you see this market continuing to grow as far as on the construction side?
I do. I'm pretty bullish on senior in general, and I say that not specific to the Minneapolis market, but just nationwide. I do think there's opportunities still in the Minneapolis market. I think that really everywhere where we're looking to expand, Denver, Austin, we've got property in Florida. We may continue to expand there. We're looking at other markets as well, but there's some statistics out there that are just hard to ignore. They're extremely compelling when it comes to the demographics and just the fundamentals. And, we were at a conference, the NIC conference last fall, and it was just, or I guess it was ULI, but there was a senior presentation, and it was just staggering. Like, if you count up all the units that were under construction at the time, we're nowhere near hitting the projections for the demand in 3 years. So for people that have parents or that are on a wait list to try to get into some of these communities, if you think that it's long now, it's going to get worse before it gets better. So we want to try to get in and take advantage of those fundamentals. And, it's also really important for us as a company to provide a service to our communities. And so that's another reason why I'm really attracted and really excited about leading the seniors team, because it feels really good to actually provide a product and a service to the communities in which we work and we live, that these communities desperately need. So there's that kind of human piece to it that you don't always get with real estate development.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and are you involved at all on affordable senior products, or is it primarily market rate? Or
so we have some affordable components. Like we have, I think we have 19 units of affordable in our Minnetonka, in our Amira Minnetonka, and we've got a wait list 100 people long waiting for those units. So, you're right. Affordability is always top of mind, especially it feels like lately, even, in market rate multifamily and in the senior space. I think that we would look to right now, we've got our brands, we've kind of got our price points. We're not at the top of the market. We're certainly not at the bottom of the market, but I think that long term, I think that it's important. I think that there's a market for each level. And I think that we would like to participate in some affordable component. We, are just not quite there yet on what that looks like. But I think that's an initiative that we really want to look into, because clearly the demand is there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just circling back to talk about your background in this business, I think I briefly mentioned in the intro that you were involved on the capital market side previously, and tell us about that, and I guess just how you got started in this line of work.
Yeah, well, so I can go way back. So before I started at UP about a year ago, but prior to that, I was really I was a partner at a small retail development office, and I was there for 14 years. So I really got to know deals top to bottom, inside out, because it was kind of a 5-person office. It was your support team was you, yourself, and you. So that was a really great learning experience for me. And then when I made the move over to United Properties, I had the benefit of sitting on the capital markets team. And as you mentioned, and I was able to see, really every deal that came into the came through the door in this organization, which is a tremendous amount of traffic. I mean, United Properties has a huge scale, something that I was not used to in my past career. So that was really exciting. And I got to know all the different product types, industrial, multifamily, senior, especially. And so, and working in conjunction with capital markets. And we had 2022 was an interesting year. It was phenomenal for the first 6 months. And then it was a disaster for the last, 3 and into these last basically 6 months of time since November of last year. So, one of the challenges certainly with all of real estate right now is the capital markets, the debt markets. How are we underwriting deals? How are we getting deals done? How are we getting them financed? And I think it was a really, that's going to be a big strategic initiative of in this role is figuring out how we are going to either recycle the equity that we've built up in our portfolio, or partner with institutional partners, syndicate companies, any kind of third-party equity to continue to drive our business. So I think that was a nice segue with my experience in capital markets to, move into the senior space and focus that here, since that's going to be a really important part of our growth strategy.
Yeah, and what do you think has been the impact of the banking crisis or situation, whatever you want to call it, that started in March with the failure of the Silicon Valley Bank and that whole situation? Is that are you feeling the impact of that here?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's one thing that nobody likes, and that's uncertainty, right? And I think that it's just one thing after another, especially in the senior space. I mean, it started with the pandemic, like that came through and everyone was kind of uncertain about how the labor markets were going to recover and how it was all going to. So it took a long time nationally for portfolios to recover. So I think investors were a little bit concerned and a little bit slower to respond to new deals, and they were waiting for their own portfolios to recover. So while our portfolio recovered just fine, it was challenging trying to convince other investors that they don't have to worry with us because our brand is strong and our operations are extremely strong. So it has been a challenge. I think that it's not any different from what anybody else is seeing, except one of the unique factors with senior is that there just aren't as many players in the capital markets. So there aren't, almost every lender will lend on, industrial or multifamily. If they're a commercial lender, they're going to look at those. Not every lender is going to do a senior with services deal. It's just unique. It's a specialty asset. It's not just a real estate investment. It's an operation. It's an operating business. And so, it's not just United Properties that they're betting on. It's United Properties and our operator, which we have fabulous relationships with Ebenezer and Great Lakes Management. But, it's that additional layer of risk, and not every banker or third-party equity investor really even understands the product type well enough to underwrite it. So when you have a pool of investors that's this big for most other commercial assets, it really shrinks down when you get to senior. So then when you hit capital market headwinds, it gets pretty small pretty quick. So that's what we're up against. I mean, I think that there is light at the end of the tunnel. We are seeing some activity, and we have some equity partners that are lined up to get us in the ground on some of the deals that we have in the entitlement and design phase now, that we're really looking forward to getting started this calendar year and early next. But I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a challenge.
Well, absolutely. So you talked about some of the challenges and opportunities out there. What else is going on? What else? Anything else you'd like to touch on before we wrap up? You certainly gave a nice overview of what's happening, and both with your company and in the market overall. Is there anything else you'd care to add?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just want to. I do want to give praise to our seniors team here at United Properties, the Amira. I mean, we really do have communities that have been thriving, and they really our occupancy fell a little bit just like anybody else in the pandemic, but we have bounced back quickly. We've got a really I like the way that we approach development. We've got our asset management team who are really, really smart with the operators. They influence and are involved in the design of our properties from the start, because they know operationally what works and what doesn't work, and where we can provide efficiencies, and what floor plans sell the best. And so we really like to use that intel on the front end, so that when we are building these properties, they are as good as they could possibly get. Then it's not just a widget. We're not building the same thing in every market. It's really, we're taking this institutional knowledge that we have and applying it for each property. So I think that that's been some of our secret sauce that's made our properties so successful continuously. So that's one big thing. And I did want to shout out, Ebenezer and Great Lakes Management. We wouldn't be able to do it without them. This is a true partnership there. And we're grateful for those relationships, and they're well regarded in the industry, and we are very much look forward to expanding with them. We are continuing to expand in Minnesota. We're taking them to Texas and to Denver with us, and hopefully they'll ride along anywhere else that we might want to go as the years tick by here. But we think we're going to be on a pretty good run for the next 5 to 10 years in senior.
Oh, great. Well, thank you so much for your time, Karla. Very interesting. Hopefully we can stay in touch and talk about future projects and things going on in the market. So,
yeah, we'll make sure to give you a call when we have our next big groundbreaking, or any other fun event that, like I said, as this pipeline starts coming to fruition, it's going to be really exciting to see these buildings go up and see these communities getting served and being provided a product that they desperately need. So we're excited to be part of that.
absolutely. Well, please stay in touch, and good luck with your projects. And thanks again for joining me today. Really enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time, Brian.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.